Dr. Jordan Schiff is the Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Teaching and Learning Services, which comprises the offices of Standards, Assessment, Innovation, Educator Effectiveness, and Career Readiness. That sounds like a VP's description in a high school. Yeah. Diana Pasculi joins us today to represent the Division of Educational Services. Diana is the Executive Director within the division that oversees special education. Assistant Commissioner Kathy Ealing was unable to be with us today, and we appreciate Diana filling in. She oversees special education, federal funding, school performance, mental health, and SEL initiatives, state monitoring, and the revision process to the New Jersey ESSA state plan, another VP's description. Dr. Christopher Irving is the Assistant Commissioner of Field Support and Services for the department. His department is focused on supporting local school districts through the 21 county offices of education. He is also responsible for educator certification issues and inter-district school choice. And Seychelle Onat is the Assistant Commissioner who leads the Division of Finance and Business Services, which oversees state aid, school construction issues, and business operations in our schools. And for more detailed information about our speakers, I invite you to visit the digital folder. I will say, I very much appreciate, especially with what's going on in our state right now, Seychelle Onat is a great partner with all of us, and I know you're going to have a lot of questions about finance, and I know that you will bring forth the stories and the heart that is needed for the department to fully understand how they're going to manage what has been put upon them by the state funding formula. So it's going to be some great conversation. What we're going to do with this panel, though, is begin by having each of the representatives up here take just a few moments to fill us in on things that are happening in their own departments. And so with that, we're going to invite you a little bit later on to, once they're done with their summaries, to ask questions. We have some floor mics we're going to pass around, and or handhelds rather, we're going to pass around, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions of them. So please hold questions until all of the panelists have had the opportunity to fill you in from their perspective. Okay, and with that, I'm going to start right here with Dr. Schiff. You might have to just flip the switches up.
There we go.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. I send greetings from our commissioner, who is enjoying the legislative conference for state chiefs today and in D.C. He's also joined by our assistant commissioner, Kathy Ealing, who couldn't be here today for that reason as well. Some of you may read and know that my background has been in the field. I also served, as many of you, as a supervisor, as a vice principal, and as a principal in New Jersey public schools for quite a period of time. I also had the privilege of serving alongside some of you as I've worked in some districts, most notably your executive director. She and I had I had the honor of working with her for 9 years in Hillsborough Township Public Schools, and I consider her a friend and an extraordinary leader. So please join with me in thanking your extraordinary leader.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have a few things that we'd like to share with you in our division of Teaching and Learning Services. As Karen indicated, I oversee 5 separate offices, as well as the Office of the Executive Director of the Division of Teaching and Learning Services. Some of our major initiatives I just want to speak about briefly. We are responsible for the High Impact Tutoring competitive grant. This is the largest competitive grant in the history of the Department of Education. We are now working with over 240 districts throughout the state of New Jersey, funneling out over $40 million to help support your high-impact tutoring efforts throughout the entire state. We actually have a second issuance of that grant. We just recently awarded this week over another 50, 60 some districts have also received notice that they now also join the 240 other districts in the state to support high-impact tutoring. Another $7 million will be going out to support that effort. So we're very pleased at the overwhelming support of this, and our initial reporting on that will be coming out shortly, and we are pleased that much of the initial information that we're receiving from districts during this first reporting period of the first issuance of high-impact tutoring has been very positive. It seems like it's really helping our students. We also have 2 free professional development initiatives that help to support evidence-based reading instruction throughout the state. The Rapid and Rapid Plus programs. Rapid is for K through 3. Rapid Plus is for grades 4 through 6 teachers across the state. This has been very popular. A good amount of teachers throughout the state, over close to 2,000 teachers have already participated in the Rapid program. Rapid Plus is just starting to roll out, and we anticipate having free modules that'll be available on the department website in the summer, so that anyone that could not participate in our synchronous professional development could have the opportunity to learn more about evidence-based practices if you haven't already done that. Plus, it's not just for teachers. We have a module just for all of you in the room as well, just targeted for supervisors, principals, and those that supervise early literacy programs. Out of the Office of Assessments, we are almost completed with the process of reviewing the bids for the next generation of assessments. This is a very exciting time in New Jersey. We are going to have new assessments starting in the spring of 2025. That's coming very soon. So new technologies and new ways of assessing children to ensure that we are providing good information for that child, as well as for their parents, as well as for their teachers, all of you, and policymakers throughout the state is very important. We've done stakeholdering on the next generation of assessments for almost 3 years now on this, and we've heard very clearly the importance of providing accurate and timely information, to having a smaller footprint, less time taken away from instructional practice has been a clear indication from what we've heard, and to utilize emerging technologies in ways that could make this, this process more effective but have a smaller footprint as well. Out of the Office of Standards, all of you are aware that we've just reviewed and completed the revisions to the New Jersey Learning Standards for ELA and mathematics. All of the crosswalks and other resource materials are available. Again, thousands of teachers have participated in the training sessions that have been offered virtually multiple times. So we're excited about that adoption as well. Information literacy, very, very important. Resources will be on their way out to the field shortly in those areas, as well as our preparations for the revisions of Chapter 8, which is where all of the standards regulations live, as well as the assessment regulations and graduation standards. So this is an opportunity as we review and revise Chapter 8 for your voices to be heard. And I know that NJPSA will be an important and powerful voice in that conversation. In the Office of Innovation, we're looking at providing additional resources for artificial intelligence and how to use this emerging technology effectively and safely in classroom practices. That's very exciting work. Our governor has indicated that this is his moonshot, that this is something that the governor's office is very, very interested in being able to project into the classrooms in a way that makes sense for kids, that enhances and challenges the way that our students are learning, and does that in a safe way. As a result, the governor has set aside resources, $1 million for, and this is an FY25 budget, for an innovative notice of grant opportunity that will be developed starting next year to identify some promising practices that you may be experimenting with and exploring in your classrooms. Also, another $1 million has been set aside for a career pathway for artificial intelligence through our CTE program. So be on the lookout for that in the summer and in the fall of next school year. Karen indicated that there has been a great deal of focus on the teacher shortage. One piece of that was a recommendation from the governor's task force to minimize all of the administrative burden that we've placed on teachers. And there is a grant that just went out. We're reviewing it now. That's a $2 million grant. It's called the Teacher Climate and Culture NGO, and the focus is reclaiming teacher time. So we're looking forward to seeing what the results of that NGO will be as well. We have 2 additional grants out of the Office of Educator Effectiveness, and that's one to incentivize and enhance opportunities to provide the Advanced Placement African American Studies course there, and to train teachers in that endeavor. We also have incentivized all AP course, adding opportunities to do that, as well as international baccalaureate courses. That was another competitive grant, also for $1 million. And finally, a unit within the division, we also focus on climate change awareness and providing resources for climate change education. We have staffed up a small but mighty group of people who are dedicated and committed to ensuring that climate change education is integrated into all standards area. And we actually have 2 grants. One is for colleges and universities to help to develop resources for the classroom in this area. The other is the Climate Change Resiliency Project, which is wrapping up at this point, and we'll be making those awards shortly. That's a $2.55 million grant that just went out. So we are dedicated and committed to providing supports out there in the field, and we really look forward to your questions. And I can't stop my presentation without just saying thank you for all of the incredible work that you do each and every day. On behalf of other people's kids, you have your own kids too, many of you, but you do this to serve the interests of other people's children, and we deeply appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schiff and Assistant Commissioner Onat.
Good morning, everybody.
Did you flip the button on the top?
Hello?
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning again. Seychelle Onat. This is my first time coming in front of you, as I've joined Department of Education last August. I am not new to the state of New Jersey. I've been in public service for over 17 years. Prior to Department of Health, I was managing all the COVID funds that came to Department of Health. And before that, I was with the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, overseeing the Office of Clean Energy and Economic Development. And I started my public service with New Jersey Schools Development Authority, providing grants to all of the school districts. So I'm very excited to be here this morning. I oversee the Division of Finance and Business Services, and there are 7 offices within the Division of Finance and Business Services. So school finance is the obviously very important office, as well as budget and accounting, oversee school facilities planning, school facilities projects, Office of School State Monitors, and then we have Office of Fiscal Planning and Policy. I just want to focus on the state budget and how the state aid. I want to give some little bit details on the numbers that have been proposed by the governor's budget, and I'll talk about some of the grants that we have, and as well as some facilities updates on the school facilities side. So as you know, the entire state budget of the governor is $53.1 billion. New Jersey Department of Education received 41% of that state budget, which is $21.6 billion, which emphasizes, the importance of Department of Education and how much education takes part in the state of New Jersey, and all the funds that are needed for all the schools and students and teachers and everyone to provide the best education in New Jersey. The budget there's an increase with the $21 billion this year. This is an increase about $1 billion over the previous year. So we got an increase of 5.2% from the prior fiscal year. We fully fund, like the commissioner mentioned, this year the state aid formula is fully funded under the SFRA, School Funding Reform Act. There is $11.7 billion in the K-12 formula aid for this fiscal year 25 school year. This is an historic increase in aid of $908 million over the previous year. This is an 8.4% increase. This increase includes the reallocations from overfunded districts to underfunded districts as part of the 7-year phase-in process. This year will complete the end of the S2 phase-in, 7-year phase-in process, allocating from overfunded to the underfunded districts. Nearly 3/4 of the districts received increases in aid this year. So, to name numbers, 423 districts received increases in state aid. 140 districts received reductions, and 15 districts were flat this year. Again, the proposed allocations in the formula aid are based on the statutory provisions included in the SFRA as amended by S2, and this is the last year in which changes in state share will be phased in under S2. So in addition to state aid provided state aid is provided directly to school districts. The state also makes significant contributions to pension and health benefits payments for educators, representing the highest amount of school aid funding provided in New Jersey history. The proposed fiscal year 25 budget includes $6.2 billion in these categories. So there's $3.4 billion towards the teachers' pension and annuity fund. The $928 million goes to reimburse districts for employers' share of FICA taxes, and $1.5 billion to support teachers' post-retirement medical benefits, and there's $270 million to defray the cost of principal and interest payments on pension obligation bonds. And preschool education is at the one of the biggest priorities by the governor. So funding for full-day preschool will total $1.2 billion this year. This is an increase of $124 million, 11.2% increase from the prior year. This appropriation will support 76,000 seats in high-quality preschool programs in 275 districts. The budget recommendation includes also $20 million to continue expanding preschool programs to new districts and support other needs like workforce development in the fiscal year 25. And the budget continues to support rapid program, reading acceleration, and professional integrated development, which is managed by my partner here, Jordan Schiff. This is designated to train K through 6 educators, best practices in reading and writing development, as you're aware, and the budgeted amount is $2 million. The budget also includes a new $2.5 million allocation to a grant program to help school districts acquire literacy screening tools, which will help target resources to children most in need of support. There's $1 million in new funding to support artificial intelligence innovation in education grants. Again, I'm sure you are all seeing this in the students. They're using a lot of AI apps, and it's important to educate the teachers, and this will allow that to happen. Fiscal year 25 budget maintains support of programs funded in the current fiscal year. There's about $9 million attributed to climate change education grants, paraprofessional training program, K-12 education workforce diversity program, K-12 computer science education initiative, high poverty school district minority teacher recruitment program, and restorative justice in education. There is also stabilization aid in the budget this year, although it is reduced from last year. The stabilization aid will be $5 million right now, as it is proposed. These are the topics under the state budget and state aid. Just want to make brief comments. I wanted to spend more time on the budget piece. With the grants, there's a lot of grants the department has. We're able to process this year, and there were thousands of transactions and reimbursements to all the school districts. So ESSER 2, as you know, it's completed, and there were 2,000 final expenditure reports processed by the department. Out of the $1.2 billion ESSER 2 funding, 15.7 million were approved by the USAID for late liquidation for construction projects. So including those, we're expecting to release those final, including those expenditures, we're expecting that 99.6% of all the ESSER 2 funds would be expended. So that leaves only about $4 million not expended, but out of a $1.2 billion with the coordination for the district and whatever DOE had, we were able to expend majority of the funds. So there is not much return to the feds. ESSER 3, we're in the process of determining how we're going to go about with ESSER 3 late liquidation, because ESSER 3 funds are ESSER 3. They need to be obligated. They need to be, again, there's an expiration date. It's coming September 30th of 2024. So we want to make sure that we expend those dollars as much as possible. So we're considering about another round of late liquidation for ESSER 3, like we did with ESSER 2. But we want to make sure ESSER 2 was limited to construction projects. So we're working with U.S. Department of Education to see how we can expand that beyond construction projects, so that as long as you're obligating the funds by September 30th, what are the avenues that you can continue to expend those funds beyond that. But we're in talks with the USAID to make sure that we're putting the districts to the minimum risk, so that when there are audits, that you are not, you don't have to return the funds. That's why we're being very careful and thorough and making sure that the guidance we'll be providing you will protect the best interest of all the districts. And so far on the ESSER 3 expenditures, there's 57% of the $2.76 billion under ESSER 3 has been expended. As you can see, we have a long way to go, and September is coming up. So we will need your partnerships to ensure, working with your business administrators, to how we can continue to spend these funds. Again, these are all COVID related, and we want to maximize the funding expenditure as much as possible. On the school facilities, I know you're aware that with the ROD, regular operating districts received recently, several months ago, a lot of HVAC projects approvals, some window projects approvals, and some boiler approvals. Majority of those projects were for HVAC projects. They are being executed, the grant agreements are being executed by Schools Development Authority right now. They will be managing all these grants, and there is about $350 million state share that went to these projects. So we're looking forward to seeing these projects come and provide the facilities needs that the schools need, so they can resolve those issues. There is a water led testing coming up this year in the fiscal year 25. So, and this is required every 3 years, and we're looking forward to, in the next several months, to issue a funding of $90 million to all the school districts, so you can provide, based upon your lead testing results, that you are able to come up with projects so that those lead issues can be remediated. So there's $90 million coming up as a second round too for lead testing. So these are my general updates. Again, I'm here at the end of this conversation with my other partners. I'm here to listen from your perspectives, what we can do better, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Executive Director Pascoli.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. It's great to see so many folks who are in the field and advocates that I admire deeply. I do believe collectively we are really helping our students in New Jersey, especially in these difficult times. So I appreciate being here and honored to be here with my esteemed assistant commissioners on the dais. As mentioned, we represent the Educational Services Division, and in that division, we focus on a variety of topics. For example, the Office of Student Supports is just daily focused on supporting students' physical, mental, and social emotional needs. We also have the Office of Special Education on our crew, as well as offices that focus on fulfilling the required mandates for data reporting, such as school performance reports, which I'll mention or talk about, as well as our ESSA accountability system, and offices that oversee most of the federal programs that go through the New Jersey Department of Education. So that includes Title I, Title III, which supports the programs for students, multilingual students. With that in mind, we really do prioritize making sure that you all have as much high-quality, free professional development available to you when you're supporting the many students, particularly students with special needs or students of special populations that require unique supports. So we've been focused over the last few years with really trying to get out those resources as much as possible. Just to provide a few highlights of some projects that we're working on is, as always, we begin with mental health. That is such a critical need and ever evolving and increasing. And so we're proud that we're in the first year of our school-based mental health grant, which is already working to expand and increase the number of mental health professionals in your schools. That is the goal. We know you have greater needs than ever, and we know we have to think creatively. So that grant is a partnership among higher education and increasing the pipeline of our, and increasing the diversity of our mental health professionals all over the state. Something else that is occurring and you'll see more about over the next year is that we have a revised autism program quality indicator toolkit and guidance that is coming out, and that's exciting because it's the first time in 20 years that's been updated, and it provides a number of tools, including preschool and young adults and students, and more age-specific indicators and supports. We also, hopefully you've seen the embargoed school performance reports by now and know that those are going to be released at the beginning of April. And we hope that you'll use them as a tool, as a conversation starter, as a way, as a grounding point to truly highlight the amazing programs that are going on in all of your schools. I think anyone in our schools have experienced the frustration of for-profit websites that rank our schools and undermine all of the work that you do. And it's important to remember that we have this resource. I know it's a headache. I know data collection stinks. I know we can always make them better. But it is really important to really capitalize on this resource that attempts and in every way provides more and more information every year based on your feedback so that we can have the conversation starters about what's going well and what are your areas of focus, what are your priorities. And that leads me to our next real area of focus over the last few years has been to think about how we can make data-driven decisions. You're all doing that. We know high-performing schools do that on a daily basis. And it's especially important right now to focus on using database analyses to identify what your students need, who are the students that are still impacted by the negative impacts of COVID, what are the students groups that need more help than ever before, and also what are the programs that you've been implementing that are working well. So a major theme from United States Department of Education and from us is what can we do to sustain the effective programs, especially as the end of the ARP-ESSER or ESSER 3 emergency funding will go away this summer. So it is really important for us to think about what's sustainable. And so some of the things that we've been providing are technical assistance to all of you. We have a Review, Amend, Spend campaign, and that's really important. So because in order to make any changes to your ESSER 3 grant, those changes need to be completed in the application by May 15th, or the week of May 15th. And so we're really helping. We've been providing technical assistance. We encourage you, if you are not a program administrator, some of you are all of the things, as mentioned. But if someone else coordinates the federal grants programs in your district, this is the time to reach out to them and say, do we have every dollar accounted for? And can we make any last minute changes? For instance, maybe there are additional dollars, or maybe some program didn't kind of get off the way you thought it would last year, and so you can shift all of the funding for ARP-ESSER into your summer programs. That's just an example of a conversation that could happen, and it needs to happen now. We can't emphasize this enough. So we have that program, Review, Amend, Spend, and something else that I've had the privilege of talking about nationally, because it's starting to get a lot of attention, is our Maximizing Federal Funds website. This is a free resource online, and it talks about how you can combine different federal funds that will continue beyond fall of 2024, and use those funds to support, again, those successful programs. So we're always talking about making sure that we have ways to sustain it, and the beauty of that website is that it is based on your students' needs. So once you identify your students' needs, it has thematic lists of activities and programs that could help your students, like under career readiness, or if it's under mental health supports, or NJ tiered systems of supports. So we're really proud of that resource and encourage you to use that, especially as, again, those emergency federal dollars are drying up this year. Just then the real quick commercial to end off is, as I mentioned, we're trying to provide you the most services. Please reach out to us if you would like additional ones. But some recently released or about to be released, or sometimes we know that you're very busy, and so we're just going to send you memos that repeat the information and say, oh, hey, maybe you didn't notice this. But we have this amazing resource online. So some examples are our New Jersey school climate surveys. And they've been updated with modules, and we also are going to, you can look for an invite to do focus groups. So not only are the resources free, we're going to pay you to join a focus group. So that's forthcoming, my colleagues mentioned. We've also just, we had a Winter Institute, and we will have our second annual Summer Institute. So those are a series of professional development opportunities. I see some people acknowledging that. That's great. We had over 2,000 people come virtually or in person over 2 weeks this winter. We are expanding our NJTSS and have just started a statewide offerings at the beginning of March. And there are a wealth of resources, and we know a lot of you are really digging in to tiered systems of supports, whether or not it's because of discipline practices or mental health, or on the early literacy side. It's a great tool. And finally, chronic absenteeism remains a deep concern for us. If our students are not here, they're not learning, and we know there are a plethora of complicated reasons they're not in our schools. And so we have some guidance that's out now, and we will continue to emphasize that so we can work together to make sure all of our students are thriving. And with that, I'll pass it off.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you so much, Diana. Assistant Commissioner Irving.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's me again. Really quickly, I only have one page of notes to begin with, all right? And so the second thing I want to do is just welcome you all and thank you for the hard work that you all do. Having been a superintendent of schools who supervise principals, directors, and supervisors. As a matter of fact, one of my former staff is in the room. Hey, Liz, so proud of you. It's such an honor to be here with the folks who are on the ground doing the work. And it's so important for us, even in these spaces, to recognize that work and to celebrate, in the work that you all do. In addition to the work that you all do, I'd be remiss if I didn't. I'm sure it was mentioned, just acknowledge our state board members who are here. We have our board president, Kathy Goldenberg, who is in the back with us as well. Hey, Kathy. And I believe Dr. Ned Johnson is in the back as well. Dr. Johnson, it's good to see you, sir. Collectively, it's our colleagues, members of our state board, and you. Oh, great. Yes, let's give a round of applause as well. Thank you. I didn't see you this morning. But collectively, we are working hard to make sure that every single child in our state receives the support that they need. Over in the Division of Field Support and Services, the division that I lead, there are several departments that I work with. There is OFAC, Office of Fiscal Accountability. We have the Charter and Renaissance School Office. We have the County Office of Education, the Office of Interdistrict School Choice, the Office of Comprehensive Support, and for those schools, or some of you who may have schools in status, you work with my staff specifically around that. But I want to spend some time just giving you an update and talking about teachers and about the work that we do relative to the Office of Certification. And so there's a few, some information I want to share with you and some resources I want to let you know that's coming down the pike, because we hear time and time again about the need to have highly skilled, highly qualified individuals in the classroom. And first and foremost, where do we find these folks? How do we get them in? And most importantly, how do we get them faster to you? And so I want to share with you just what has the work been in the office, so much so it's preceded me before I got there. First and foremost, as many of you know, we're in the midst of the certification fee holiday, beginning in January. You can clap on that one. Beginning in July 1 of last year, all certification fees in our NJ Cert system have been waived. If there was ever a doubt to the impact of this, to date, $7.9 million have been waived in certification fees in our state. That has totaled about 6,000 teacher applications and more than 15,000 substitute credentials. And so again, from the substitute end, trying to increase the pipeline of support that you receive, even if you don't have a certificated person there. We realized after the pandemic, having substitutes who wanted to come into the classroom was difficult. In addition to that, we are working feverishly through our NJ Cert system to continue to process applications. Before the implementation of NJ Cert, it would take about 8 to 12 weeks to complete a certification if it was completely done and through. Now it's taking us about 3 to 4 weeks to be able to do so. And so we're really proud of that statistic and proud of that work that we're doing. But it goes to show when you modernize and use data, use technology, it's a great opportunity to get folks from sitting at home or sitting in a classroom as a sub to us and back to you as a certificated individual. In addition to that, NJ Cert is being updated to reflect the members of our state board's adoption of new certification endorsements as of May 2023. Those endorsements will be ready by the close of this academic or semester, this period. In addition to that, we are working through, and we are not at the finish line yet, but I know last year there was conversation around reciprocity and folks who have teaching credentials from other states. And so we are working on currently a pilot which would allow reciprocity for teachers who come from bordering states like New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and that is specifically through the feedback of folks like yourself, so thank you so much. In addition to that, an update on the limited CE and CES pilot. Some of you in your districts are enrollees into the pilot program, and to date, we have more than 2,800 certificates that have been granted under the limited CE and CES as well. Last few items I'll share with you. because I know I'm last and you folks also want to do a Q&A. We have several new education prep provider programs and certification programs that we have licensed and approved in New Jersey through Drew University, through Essex County College, who actually has an alternate route degree program now, Felician College, Montclair State University, and other online partners as well. Lastly, I did want to just clarify this point because I've been asked this every place I go, and I'm sure somebody's going to ask it, so I'm going to answer it now. As you all know, there was the Practice Core Bill that was passed in 2023, PL 2023 C180, that quote unquote eliminated the praxis. I want to be clear, it did not eliminate the praxis. What that bill did do, though, is created another alternate route pathway and pipeline for folks who are going alternate route, who no longer need to take the praxis in that vein if they're applying through this alternate route pathway. And so to date, be very clear, the practice is alive and well, it still exists, and it's still necessary. But it will now become, there's now a new opportunity for those folks to enter the teaching profession who may not necessarily need the practice if they're going through the alternate route pathway. Wanted to clarify that because I had a lot of my friends call me after that was adopted. I'm like, oh, that's not what happened. So we are working, feverishly in the Office of Field Support and Services, Division of Field Support and Services, to continue to support the work that you all do. I want to thank our state board members, the members here, and the folks who are in the field for the work that you all continue to do. And it's really cool to work alongside such amazing people. So thank you so much. One page.
Thank you so much. All right, so now that I have finished choking, which was a pleasant deterrent in my morning, and I appreciate very much the summaries that you have provided, I would like to do this. I'm going to leave space for 2 questions, and I'm going to steal 5 minutes from your break. What I'm going to invite you to do, however, we work exceptionally close with these 4 people and the other people at the department. So if you have questions that you would like us to investigate further with the department, jot down D. Bradley, D-B-R-A-D-L-E-Y, hang on, J. Lamon, J-L-A-M-O-N, and K. Bingert, K-B-I-N-G-E-R-T, all of them at njpsa.org. If you have questions that you would like us to raise with the members of the department, we are happy to do so on your behalf, as we always do. But with like 4 minutes to go, 2 questions from the audience. Anything that you would like to raise at this point with the department? Right here with Rosemary.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. It's really informative. I'm just wondering about the role of professional learning and how it's being highlighted and emphasized, and through what who is overseeing that? And can you talk a little bit about how we're going to support teachers with professional learning?
Yeah, it's actually a shared responsibility among many of our divisions. So in my division, we have the Office of Educator Effectiveness that offers professional learning and updates periodically. Right now, our focus is on the reading acceleration, which is the rapid programs, and those programs are currently going on for your early elementary teachers as well as your later elementary teachers for Rapid Plus. But if you go on the state website and you look to register, you can see a plethora of offerings that are free and available to all staff throughout the state. Everything from how to ensure that you have, I'm thinking, Chris, in your area, of preparedness for emergencies, all the way to how to address social and emotional needs of your students, to reading recovery, to all sorts of areas of interest to the state of New Jersey. So I really encourage everyone to avail themselves of these free resources.
And one more. There.
First of all, thank you for everything you all do. As S2 is going away, thank you for all you do. As S2 is going away, how can we all as a group have input as to what's going to happen next to try to find ways that we're not going to be shocked every year when the changes occur with the budgets so we can plan accordingly, so we can do the best for our kids.
Yes, we welcome all the feedback, so if you want to collaborate through Karen, we're looking forward to hearing your perspective. So S2 is going away, and next year we're in the talks with what can we do to smooth out the formula areas where it could be improved. So anything that you have an idea, we're always here to listen. So I'm suggesting you go through Karen, provide a statewide update.
And I will add to that, in the discussion that we had with the governor yesterday, there was a lot of conversation about things that districts can control and things that they cannot control. So while the funding formula on the surface looks like it makes sense, it doesn't make sense when you start comparing the apples to oranges of school districts, next to each other. So, but every single district's need and ability to resolve those gaps is different. So we need, yes, and that's something that is understood at all levels, okay? So if you are finding that as you are losing money, that there are certain things that you might be expected to do to fix the issue, but you can't because you don't have enough ratables, or you don't have this, or you do have that. Let us know what some of these things are, and we will be happy to take that back to the Assistant Commissioner and to the Governor and his staff as well. And that is an open invitation. The funding formula, the new funding formula, and what this is going to look like is going to be the hot topic, along with, I think, educator evaluation in the 24-25 school year and the fiscal year. So there will be plenty of opportunity to provide input. Okay, so with that, we are going to try to get back on schedule pretty closely. We're not too bad, so let's take a quick about 9-minute break, and let's try to be back in by 11:15 to kick off the rest of this incredible day. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause, please, for our Assistant Commissioners and Executive Director.